I'd like to call the Common Council meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ryan, would you start us off? Reverend Mike, our pastor failed to show up tonight. Would you mind doing the prayer for us, please?
Let us pray. Holy God, you have instilled in us the wonderful season that we are in this town, in this wonderful location, in this wonderful state. We know, God, you will continue to bless us as we move forward as a city. Bless this council that is before us this day, our executive leadership, those who dedicate their lives to public service for our city. Continue to help us to grow, help us to become that city that is one of the best as we are. We thank you, God, that you have continued to bless us and you will continue to guide us on the journeys that we have. Amen.
Thank you. Didn't mean to put you on the spot. Okay, we have the approval. Oh, Nina, can you do the roll call, please? Sorry.
Councilperson Alvarez?
Here.
Councilperson Pogorski?
Here.
Councilperson Geishurst? Here. Councilperson Clem?
Here.
Councilperson Williams?
Here.
Councilperson Gully?
Here.
Councilperson Zilli?
Here.
We have the approval of the minutes from July 12th.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, any changes? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. We have communications and correspondence and announcements from the mayor tonight. We have a young man with us who is a member of our youth commission. As you know, we did not have a youth commission for several years, but we are back up to full speed with our youth commission, and so I would like to introduce our council liaison, Connor Phillips. Gina and Ferdinand are the heads of our youth commission. If you have anything you want to say about Connor before he gets started, and then he's going to give us a report.
No, I'd just like to say congratulations and welcome. We're excited.
Thank you for having me here tonight. Obviously, you just heard the introduction, so I'd like to say what the Youth Commission is currently working on and what we're about. The Commission's about trying to give the youth in the community a voice. So, for example, we have a board full of chair and a couple of other people and a liaison. What we're working on right now is a school supply pantry, so that way kids who are in need from people who have extra supplies, those people can give back to the community, and that way people who need supplies that don't have the opportunity to get them or can't get them can get them that way. I'd like to invite people to our next meeting, which will be on the 10th of August at 6 p.m. in this room. So we're still trying to figure out a few of the little details, like all the locations, but we'll be getting this started here soon. We can't wait.
Thank you, Connor, and welcome aboard.
I'd just like to say, not only welcome Connor, but I've had the opportunity to have a number of conversations with Connor over the past few weeks, and he's an outstanding young man, as you can tell, very well-spoken, very knowledgeable, and he's only in high school. So with someone like that, we know that the future of our city is in good hands, and I'd like to just extend that welcome. Thanks.
Well, and thank you to Gina and Ferdinand for heading up this group of kids. They need guidance, and you guys, great guidance.
Connor, I just have a quick question. If we want to donate to that school supply pantry, how do we do that?
We're still trying to figure out the locations, so we're talking about like drop-off points. We're talking about doing some at like the high school, police and fire station, and YMCA. Those are some of the main ones. Again, nothing's confirmed yet, but those would be the spots probably to go.
Thank you, Connor. Clerk Treasurer's report.
First of all, can we do a roll call vote for the minutes?
Sorry, we have people on Zoom, so we have to do a roll call vote. Thank you for letting us know that, Nina.
Councilperson Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilperson Pogorski?
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem?
Yes.
Councilperson Williams?
I'll have to abstain. I was not at the last meeting.
Councilperson Gully?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
I don't have anything right now. We still are waiting for our ARP deposit. We still don't have it yet. I thought it would have hit by the end of July, but we're still out and waiting, so.
So we have reports from standing committees.
Yes, Madam Mayor, the Ordinance Committee did meet today at 5 o'clock. I'd like to first recognize and thank Councilperson Podorski and Councilperson Gully for carrying the water last month. I wasn't able to attend the meeting, and I appreciate their continued work on this committee. Today, we talked about continued discussion about the so-called puppy mills and those retail outlets. That's still a work in progress to decide the best route to take and options we may have in that regard. We have two ordinances that are on the agenda today for consideration. One is the nuisance order, which has to do with excessive police calls, and then some code enforcement changes in regard to vegetation. We also took up under new business a brief discussion about certain types of retail businesses that are coming into town. I think specifically the vaping stores and how we may proceed in that direction. We're also going to take up some additional amendments to some salary changes this evening, and that concludes our report.
Thank you, Scott. Deb, do you have a budget report?
Not necessarily a report, but I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to send out an email next week to try and get the committee together, as well as have the department heads join us to discuss kind of where they're at, what kind of the preliminary stuff they're thinking for next year. And then Nina, when I send that out, copy you, and if we can get most up-to-date appropriation so that we can really start looking at that. And then, just as a side note, on the Lexipol, on the employment manual, we are on the last section. We're almost done. There's a policy that we need to look at that regards of emergency management and how that's taken care of, but we're almost there to, again, send that out to all the department heads so they can review it as well. And hopefully we'll be able to get it launched before the end of the year.
I do actually have something. So by the end of the month, but really probably within the next 2 weeks, so at the next month's meeting, and actually it could be something that we take up with the budget committee first. Baker Tilly is almost done reconciling all of the funds going back to 2013, 14-ish. And there's going to have to be some adjustments. A lot of it's with payroll funds. There was a clearing problem when the city had switched to ADP, and it just compounded and compounded. It's just paper. It's not like, there was anything illegal or done or anything like that. But the council will have to make some adjustments to fund the deficit payroll funds.
So when we have that, will you join us? Thank you.
Thank
Good evening. I don't have a lot to report on, but our lab yearly the state requires that we do a testing to make sure that we're doing the correct procedures and everything. So they send us an unknown, and the lab passed again this year. They every year have passed. All of the employees that I have are tremendous. They know their job and they do it well. So I'm very proud of them. So I just wanted to tell you that. The plant's running good right now. Clarifiers are working good right now. Everything's been really running smooth. Any questions?
Great.
Thank you.
Great job, Trace.
Thank you.
We do not have a report from AJ tonight, although we did one to all of the council people. He is heading off on his vacation today, so we hope he has a good time. Randy?
Good evening. Just a fast report from streets, standard services on the past month. The total patcher's really working well, and we've got areas of roads that we're going to be working on. We're also doing road striping, we're doing limb pickup, mowing, and we have our mosquito abatement going on, so that's been very successful. For sanitation, we continue to audit our recycling routes. We are still in suspension. We just had an inspection this past Tuesday on some loads, but we're still contaminated, and we're not the only ones. So it's not even a regional, it's a nationwide issue right now. I talked to some higher ups in Republic Services, and they're experiencing it all across the nation here. So other municipalities are suspended as well. So this is not just a Portage issue. It's a national issue. Our recycling is broken across America, so we need to come up with some good ideas. And I'm open to any good ideas. But right now, we just continue to audit. Right now, we've audited this year about 170 cans and taken them out of service due to contamination, and we continue to do that. So that's the only thing we could do. We are very close. Republic Services did come out and look at that load, and we're right on the verge of them taking it back, but we're not there yet. So they're looking for at least a 10% or less contamination in that stream. So on a good note here, we back in November of 2021, we did submit for a Volkswagen Grant. That was a 75% match, and we got that. That was approved for $549,689, and we just had received from our order of 7 CNG trucks. We just got our first one on Thursday. It is absolutely beautiful and green. So right now we're in the process of submitting for the NOFA grant, which is an 80-20 match. That's 80% federal government and then 20% city. Amongst that, we're also going to include our CNG station and also our infrastructure within that NOFA grant. So Ryan Lissick from Drive Clean Indiana has been working very closely with us, and he's doing a great job. And so more to come on that. Anyone have any questions?
I'd like to say thank you. I just received, I haven't had a chance to forward it to you. My neighbors down the road sent a picture thanking the street department, how helpful they were with picking up their load in the front yard, and they did a wonderful job.
All right.
Randy, I'd like you to say a little bit about what's happening up at the compost site, because we are taking some things up at the compost site, books, I believe, plastic bags.
Yes, there's various things that they've added. We have our partnership with the Porter County Waste District, and they've added some other additional services up at the compost site. That is a great place to visit. If you just want to get a picture of what Portage does and the amount of limbs. In fact, I think they're grinding here next week or this week all the limbs that we've collected in the past year. So that pile will encompass this entire building. That's how much we've collected. We also take all our leaves up there. The Porter County District turns those leaves about 4 or 5 times a year, turns it back into compost. We provide that absolutely free of charge to our residents, and it's just a great site. They also take, let's see here, light bulbs, plastic bags, books. I'm trying to think of some of the other things. Oh, e-waste. They take e-waste as well up there. So it's a great place. It's right on US 12. If the residents would like to know, I could drop them a pin if they email our department at psd@portage-in.com. I could easily give them where that address is. So, and their hours are from 8 to 4 Monday through Friday, and Saturday I think it's from 8 to 3. So
the other site that is available is in Burns Harbor. So if you're like me and you don't want to put your recyclables in the garbage can, you can take them to the drop-off site that the Waste District has in Burns Harbor. And so that's another location. So rather than putting them in your toter, in your black lid toter, you can take them to Burns Harbor as well. And I have been assured that they are recycling those.
Yes, they are.
Sorry, Mayor, is that a recycling site in Burns Harbor by the town hall there, by their street department? Is it off of 149?
I believe so. I'm not sure exactly where Burns Harbors is, so. But they do have the
Okay.
recycling center up at our compost area on US
Okay.
12.
All right, thank you.
Job. Or to that green truck hitting the road. Okay, Chief Wilkening. Well, Chief Wilkening's coming up. I just want to say that today, Chief Wilkening and Assistant Chief DeYoung and I were out at the port today, riding around in an EV semi. They're going green out at the port, and so they were giving us rides out there. It was quite interesting because these are giant semis, but they're all electric vehicles, and it's they had 3 of them out there, so we were able to go out there and ride around in them today.
Had quite a bit to pick up. Evening. Start off with our call volume. I sent you all a report. Sorry I was a little bit late. It was kind of hectic with all the meetings and everything. But we did do, for the month of July, we did 544 calls, 386 for EMS, and we had 3 structure fires. That's about 50 more than we had in July of last year. So there's some months that were a little bit down, and then some months that were quite a bit up. So we're still on a good uptick. Total for the year is 3,513 calls. So we're still on pace to be over 6,000 calls for this year. So which was a record for us last year. So we're still pretty busy. Over 2,559 of them were EMS, so those were the ambulance calls. So we're quite busy on the ambulance. And then we also had 23 mutual aid calls in the city last month, so that brings our total for the year of 180 mutual aid calls that we've had to have people come in to help us. As far as our personnel go, we're finishing process 2 people. And they should be starting right at about August 22nd, so we're excited about that. Unfortunately, we are still 3 firefighters short, so we have some on the list that we're waiting to get qualified, so we hope to have them filled soon. We also believe that some of the changes that you'll be going over with the ordinance in a little bit will help us with our lists. We're looking at new lists and also lateral transfers, so we hope that helps our process quite a bit. We have 4 people on major medical right now, so we have 4 people off, and then four of our new firefighters, they're still in training. They should be finishing up pretty soon, but right now they're still just writing 3rd person, so we're not utilizing them in the count. So hopefully within the next month they'll be ready to go, so that really helps. Also, I did have one of our battalion chiefs did step down. He just wanted to go back on a rig and do that, be a lieutenant. So we did promote a new battalion chief. So we promoted Lieutenant John Novath to battalion chief. So he's sitting in the back right there. So welcome, John, to the administration. Our vehicle status, the people are still keeping up with the repairs, but with the age of our fleet, you know, it's quite the expensive process. We did have one major breakdown to our spare engine that had to have a lot of framework, so that was taken care of. We also did have to loan one of our spare ambulance to South Haven Fire Department. They were having some problems too, so we were luckily able to give them an ambulance, let them use for a while. So it's always good to help neighboring departments because they help us out. We did have some great news. The Board of Works accepted a bid for the new fire engine. We have the contract that was all approved, so that should be, we should be getting construction started very soon with that. So we hope to see that in about 1.5 years. As the mayor did say, we went out to the port and we looked at the new electric vehicles. I know right now it's very rare in the fire service. They're still doing a lot of tests on it. I think LA County just received one as a test. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out and how electric vehicles will be for the fire service. So we'll wait and see about that. Our grant process, we're still waiting on the Homeland Security grants. We are hoping within the next month or two still that something comes through with there. However, we did receive a $5,000 grant from Carmus from the Port of Indiana. So that's going to go for some dive equipment since they're right on the port and are going to help out the dive team quite a bit. So we're happy about that. And then also we're really happy about is we're working with Work One, and that's a grant process, and they are going to reimburse us for our fire academy and our paramedic school, which is huge. So we are going to get reimbursed for $50,000 for this year. And then we're already going to get started with doing it for next year. So training, our crews, they do a great job, and they do countless hours of training. They're usually training just about every day. They're doing something. So they are doing a wonderful job. We also met with Indiana American Water out at their treatment plant in Ogden Dunes, and we're going to be working with some training for them in case, because they have a lot of chlorine gas, things like that, that we need to be to identify and have some kind of plan. So if we ever have a big accident. So they are working with us, and they've been really helpful and cooperative and want to get this done. So, and then we've also, I just talked with Superintendent Reeder with their new pretty green CNG truck. We want to get a look at it and figure out if there are ever some problems with it to let all of our people know, you know, the emergency operations and if there was ever a fire or something like that, because very well could happen, especially in the back. They have quite a few fires in the back of garbage trucks, so it happens. So we want to be prepared for that. Community involvement. This last Saturday, we had our bike rodeo and safety day. It was well attended. Thank you to everyone who came out. All of the service organizations in the area that helped out. I think it went really well. We gave free helmets out to the kids. They got to ride a course. There was people doing identification for kids. We did have the helicopter come out. Unfortunately, I think they were only there about 20 minutes and got a call and had to leave right away. So, but that happens. Last, I'd like to include is a good job, and this is something. It was really, really great to hear. Is our crews got dispatched to Route 12. There was a gas station, and there was a person that experienced a near drowning at a local beach, and they had refused treatment initially, and on the way home, they got what's called dry drowning, and what happens is that time afterwards, the lungs start filling up with fluids, so he became in distress. They stopped at a gas station, called the ambulance. Our engine company got there first and put an airway in him and gave him treatment, and the doctor said that if it wasn't for the quick thinking of the paramedics for us, that the outcome might have been different, but 3 days later he came to the fire station and thanked the guys. So, I mean, it was really great to hear. But I want to acknowledge that the crew that did the great job was Stephen Weiss, Scott Klein, Todd Laux, Kyle Johnson, John Granados, and Edward Houghton. So, again, these are the firefighters, are an example of what makes Portage Fire Department so great. So, love to hear these stories. So. Any other questions for me?
Didn't you also get a letter from a lady that you recently saved? We all
Yeah,
got a
I think
copy
that
of
was,
that.
last month.
Yeah.
We received a letter, and she was very thankful, and again, we truly appreciate those because we always love the thank yous. So it's good to know that we are doing some good in the community. All right.
Thanks for all you guys do, Randy. We appreciate you. Chief Candiano, are you here? Oh, he's off in the corner. He's had a busy day.
Hello. All right. First off, I want to tell everybody that we have our National Night Out going on right now at Founders Square. We will be there till 8 o'clock. We're out there with the fire department. We're serving hot dogs, water, pop, canine demonstrations. SWAT team's got their stuff out there. So normally I would say it's good to be tuned into these meetings so you can find out what's going on in the city. Today I'm going to tell you to log off and go to our event. So we'll be there. We'll be there for about another hour. So honestly, if anybody's close and wants to bring themselves and/or their kids out, it's a pretty cool event. So that being said, I don't have a whole lot because we were putting some of the planning and stuff into this today. So I'll be honest, putting this report together was kind of last minute. So I will have more for you next month, but I do have a couple things real quick. So total incidents for July, we were at 2,868. That was about 92 and a half a day. For 2022 year-to-date, we're at 20,506. I did some real quick math. I think we're probably on pace for about 35 or 36,000 incidents for the year. So hiring staffing, excited to announce that Officer York was released to solo patrol over the weekend. He had graduated the academy a couple months ago, finished up his training, and he is out and about on his own now. I've also been, over the months, filling you guys in on Officer Hathorn, who was overseas on a military commitment. I think at the last meeting I announced that he was back in the area. He is actually back to work, so he's got to do a couple things to get himself to be able to go back out there on patrol, since he's been off, but he's in the process of doing that, so we should have him back out there soon. And then lastly, we've got Officer Cupp, who will begin the academy next week. He passed his physical assessment today, so he's good to go. So we'll lose him for the weeks that he's at the academy, but he'll get that training he needs, and then he'll be back and continue his training, his field training program, and then hopefully we'll have him solo patrol by the end of the year. So that leaves us with where we're at overall staffing. We've got 2 openings. We've started a hiring process. So for those of you who are tuned in that I didn't shoo away by telling you to go to our event, if you know somebody who's interested in working for the Portage Police Department, we are handing out applications now. So you can come by and pick one up, or you can reach out to the department and we can send you one. So I will say that the number of applications that have come in so far and the interest we've gotten seems to be better than we have had in the past. And I know I've been kind of talking to you all for months and months, well, probably years, about the concerns with recruitment and things. So I got to believe that a lot of this has to do with some of the stuff that's happened recently. We're getting the equipment that we've asked for. Obviously, we got some more competitive wages. So everybody that had something to do with that, I want to thank you, because if you get out and look right now, there's probably 8 or 9 police departments in our area that are hiring right now. We're all competing for a small pool of people. So I think that you guys have given us the opportunity to be competitive and to get some applicants. So kind of some good news there. So real briefly, community engagement. We also participated in the bike rodeo. I saw some pictures and stuff. Looked like a great event, so glad that we were able to come out for that. Obviously, like I said, we've got the National Night Out going on tonight. We also participated in a SWAT demonstration out at the MAC for some school kids. And then we've been continuing with our bike and trail patrol. The bike patrol, so again, I told you guys up before, we had been doing the trail patrol for years, but we kind of instituted the bikes into the neighborhoods this year. And it's been pretty cool. So we haven't put a whole lot out on social media because a lot of the interaction's been with kids. We've got videos of, officers playing catch, playing baseball, things like that. Obviously, there's some privacy issues with kids there, so we haven't put a lot of that out on Facebook, but everything that's the feedback I've been getting is that it's a great program. So we're going to continue that until it gets too cold. So I'm pretty excited about that. Last 2 things, just to continually update you on the ARPA funds. We're getting close to having some information to put before you all on the body cams. I've sent some information to our city attorney. have him review a couple things, and then I'll probably get some information out to you all, but I could see that coming together, you know, if everything works out there relatively soon. So we've put a lot of time and effort into figuring out what the best fit for us and what the, you know, what system will work the best for us. So I'll get some information on that for you. We've talked about the AEDs before, but I believe we've deployed them, I want to say something like 3 or 4 times since we've received them. So it was a great purchase for us to have out there. You know, we knew it'd be good, but it just shows right there that we've already had, you know, having more of them in more cars obviously is beneficial. So last thing with those funds, I think we've got about somewhere around, I might be a little off on this, but about 10 of our new cars out. You've probably seen them out there. The Chargers, they look pretty sharp. I know the officers are excited to be in the new cars. It's decreasing our expenses on repairs and things by getting them out there. I will say, I was also told by Captain Hughes that because the car industry is, you know, going through so many issues, that there's a lot of departments that are having trouble getting cars right now. So we kind of, you know, hit the sweet spot there that we were able to get some. So the upfitter is actually able to get through our cars fast. We thought this was going to take a little bit longer, but they don't have cars to upfit right now because departments are struggling to get them. So we kind of hit that sweet spot, so now they're churning them out pretty quick. So we should have all of them out on the road within the next couple weeks, so that's pretty exciting. So then lastly, some for our recognition, we did have a couple of promotions based off of the retirement that we talked about last month. So I want to congratulate Corporal Flora McHenry, Sergeant Matt Johnson, Lieutenant Aaron Chin, and Lieutenant James Maynard. They all were promoted to those positions based on the positions that for retirement and some rank that was vacated. So, and then last, I need to thank Debbie and Steve Miller and Lieutenant Maynard, who, I'll be honest, put together most of the stuff that's going on over there. So I can't take credit for that. They have been working tirelessly the last couple days, shopping, laying out all the where the vehicles were going to be placed, all that stuff. So I just want to give a little shout out to them for the work that they've done over there for us. So that's all I got. All right, thank you.
Great job. Our park superintendent, I put her on the spot last month. She said she does have a short report. I know she's been working hard. I've seen her out there. Hands-on gal, I'll tell you, because on Sunday, the splash pad went down, and I called her, and she took her tools out there and fixed it. So she's doing a great job for us.
Thank you. Hello. Unfortunately, it's a bigger repair than what we thought, so it was a short-term, fix that we thought might work while the part was coming in, but it's not. So the part is on order. So we've been communicating through Facebook and a sign that says, "Oh no, where'd the water go?" So we're trying, but we're at the mercy of when the repair item will come in. But it has been on order, so I did try with my tools. Yes, but we're waiting on, it's like an approval thing, but it will be overnighted. But yeah, it's like a 72-hour wait for then the overnight. It's one of those things I can't control. I think they're out of Canada or something like that. I don't know. So we have some good and bad. The market on the square has been doing really well. We did have some rain, but definitely seeing a lot more people at the market. Our event coordinator, Amy Armstrong, facilitated a partnership where Enchanted Tales came out with costume characters. So having like costume Disney people at a Disney movie was really a big draw. So we definitely saw more people there. And the weather's been really, really nice for the most part. So there's people in all the parks right now, which is great to see. We also do partnerships with Portage Live, and they had our Tuesday nights, which are having tonight at Woodland Park, and also at Founders Park a couple weeks ago. And those have been really well attended. So we're having, for the most part, on Tuesday nights, 300 at least at Woodland Park watching their concerts. So we're seeing a lot of traffic in our parks. And right now, Yeah. And right now,
Sorry
we have,
about that, Di.
It's okay. We have fall soccer sign-up happening now, so we're hopefully getting the word out, and we'll have another great season of that. Some of the bad is that we are still short-staffed, so we're still hiring. So if you know anyone for part-time, we do have an open full-time position, but we're just seeing how things are working out and what our needs are before we post that and get the right person that we need. We have a long list of repairs, starting with the splash pad, and it just goes from there, and we're working on them. And we also have some vandalism and property destruction, including most recently Perry Park. So we're just dealing with that. So we're on it, though. Do you guys have any questions?
Perry Park. Is there a chance that like the PD can run by there every once in a while?
They were called, so they know.
Anybody have any questions for Diane? I told her when she came on that there was a big job. I think she's seeing that now, but I see you've been working hard out at Gilbert Park, and you got your little piles of brush that you're working on out there, so everybody be patient with her, because I know they were out there 2 days that I know of for the whole day, so she's very shorthanded and has a lot to do, so.
But I have great staff and, baby steps, we're going to get there. So, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Diane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Witten, do you have any comments that you'd like to make?
I don't think so at this time, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So under unfinished business, we are going back to the annexation that we had. Colin, want you to take that?
Yes, we have a second reading on the annexation ordinance, which Nina had printed for us. Thank you, Nina. And I just passed out a little bit ago. So an ordinance of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, annexing adjacent and contiguous territory, be it and it hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, as follows. Whereas the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, is aware that certain property adjacent to or abutting the southern boundary of the City of Portage, commonly known as the 600 block of 700 North, Porter County, Indiana, should be annexed to the City of Portage, and whereas the parcel is at least or in excess of 1/8 contiguous to the corporate boundary limits of the City of Portage, and whereas the territory sought to be annexed is needed and can be reasonably utilized by the City of Portage for its development in the reasonably near future, and whereas the real estate commonly known as the 600 block of 700 North, Porter County, Indiana, will be connected to sanitary sewer service provided by the City of Portage and potable water service provided by Indiana American Water Company, and whereas the City of Portage, by resolution, has adopted a written fiscal plan pursuant to IC 36-4-3-13 as amended with respect to this parcel of real estate. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, Section 1, that the following described parcel of real estate be and the same is hereby annexed to and declared part of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, to wit, and I am not going to read the full legal description. We did that at the last meeting. Section 2, that the parcel of real estate sought to be annexed will be assigned to the City Council District 4 as a voting district in the City of Portage pursuant to IC 36-4-3-4G as amended. Section 3, that the zoning district classification of said parcel of real estate is hereby determined to be R4 district, single-family residential, and the annexation agreement and all exhibits thereto shall be hereby made part of this annexation ordinance. Section 4, be it further ordained that the municipal corporate boundaries of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, shall be, and the same are, hereby declared to be extended so as to include all of the parcel of real estate here and above described as part of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana. Let the record reflect this has been read in full. Motion to adopt.
We have motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Attorney Witten, would you like to comment?
So I can, Mayor. So this is, as you were all aware, this is part 282. We take the annexation. We've already entertained the first part, which is less than 2 acres, 1.8. We did that, I think, back in April-ish. They went before the Planning Commission for just sort of a review and recommendations. That's not necessarily required, but they did. And then it came up and it passed the first takedown Now we're to the second, this is the bigger parcel, we've got questions of him. But just to be clear, we had public hearing last meeting, so the public had an opportunity to speak on this, and that public hearing was closed. And now, if the council entertains the passage of this, this doesn't preclude them from having to go back to the planning commission. In fact, they do, to get their subdivision approved, just like any other developer. It doesn't do anything, it doesn't fast track them, it doesn't skip any steps, none of that stuff. So I just want to be clear, because I've been asked a lot of different questions about that, and I wanted to make sure we understood.
So Dan, you're saying that the public now cannot speak on this because we've already had the public hearing. So this is just the council vote, and it will be a roll call vote.
That is correct.
Yes.
We had to cancel the planning commission last night because council was not available. And I would like to speak because the first meeting I was in the ER for like 8 hours, so I could not attend. But I would like to fill you in with the information that we made in making our decision.
Dan, is that, can we do that?
It's up to the council.
I mean, we had a plan commission member speak to us about this at the last meeting, correct?
No, he was not.
No.
Oh, is he not on the plan commission? Okay,
No.
okay. I mean, I'll defer to the council. I'm not going to make that decision unilaterally.
I'm open to having Ms. Little address the council regarding this issue. It's a very important issue, and I'm sure she feels the same.
Thank you.
The council is going to allow you to speak, Denise.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Denise Little. I'm president of the Planning Commission and the BZA. The Planning Commission understands the importance of your decision in regards to the recommendation for the Bauer Farms annexation, and I wanted to share some of that information with you. I am in
So,
total.
Denise, may I interrupt you for a
Yes.
minute? Because we are going to limit your time, so.
Okay, how much time do I have?
Well, normally it's 2 minutes, so I would
Okay.
like you to keep it.
Okay. I'm in total agreement to annex this parcel, but not at the R4 density. One of the things, since I only have 2 minutes, I brought a lot of information. They give us a lot of figures in the resolution, fiscal resolution, and what we did was we contacted all of the departments, the fire, the police, and the sanitation. So what they've reported in the resolution does not fit. May I bring this up to you? I think I have enough for everybody. If we look at the difference in the lot coverage, R4 is at 70%. They're saying that the square footage will be from 1,400 to 2,800, so they're going to be covering everything. Side yards will be 5 feet for each house. You cannot drive through if there's any repairs required in the back. R3 is 40%, and R2 and R1 is 35%. Bauer has thrown a lot of big numbers in their proposals. The park impact fees, which is at $236, will be limited to use for new projects only, and with the city has to have matching funds. So it's not a fix-all for the park department. Many of you may know that I am in real estate. I've been in real estate over 37 years, and I have been active with 3 small lot developments. And these are Marina Shores and Portage. That development was started in 2005, sat for years with several variances to accommodate what buyers really wanted. Marina Shores boasts itself as a water paradise. They have boat slips, on-site restaurant, walking distance to the South Shore with transportation to Chicago South Bend, heated pool, workout center, less than a mile to the Lake Michigan, dunes hiking. Villages in Burns Harbor, Cliff Fleming, he wanted to build a community like he grew up in the Horseman area in Gary. They have 4 parks, a town square, a community garden, pool, clubhouse, monthly get-togethers. These lots went back to People's Bank in a bankruptcy. He couldn't do it. And that was at about 10 years. Coffee Creek started in 2003. Again, sat dormant for years until a large Northwest Indiana builder opened a model there. This development now is about sold out, but their lifestyle is Coffee Creek Watershed. Miles of hiking paths, creeks, pond, migratory bird watching and wetlands, events, amphitheater, pavilion with 2 fireplaces, and much, much more. For Borrow Farms, what they are offering as their lifestyle is a tractor on 1 parcel. We've worked too hard to bring our quality of our developments and homes up. A tract development is small lots with the same models over and over again. I implore you, before you approve this at R4, to seriously think about it or postpone it so that you can really look at the information that is available. I have it all here. But I'm saying, please, please, do not approve this at R1. Any questions? I have everything with me.
Council, do you have any questions for Denise?
Denise, can you explain the difference between, for the community to know as well, the difference between R1 and R4?
Okay, R1 is a 35% lot coverage. The lot frontage would be 70, 80 square foot, and that means 35% could be lot coverage for rain or water. Sorry about that. I was trying to hurry. For water retention. R4 lots can be 50 feet wide with a 5-foot side yard. So between 2 homes, that is only 10 feet. You can't drive anything to the backyard if it needs repairs. You can probably hear your neighbor that's like being in your kitchen or your living room. So, but the resale, I pulled comps. I have comps looking at the smallest lots that are for sale. Don't go. It's not what they want. And it's not what they want to pay $300,000 and more for it. So, any questions for me?
I'm curious, why is the Plan Commission recommending R1 and not R2?
Because of the difference of the lot sizes.
But aren't most neighborhoods on the south side R2? Hidden Waters, the new neighborhood over by Loot?
They're the same, but yes, they are. R1 and R2, but not R4.
So what's the difference between R1 and R2, and why is the Plan Commission recommending R1?
Because we wanted to have some control when the development was planned and goes into DRC. We can give, but if we approve R2, and we don't like something, there's nothing that we can do. If we give an R1 and the plan comes back looking really good, that we have more than just a tractor sitting on a corner, then we can say, okay, we'll let you go R2. But it's just that we wanted to have a little bit more control. Once we pass this resolution, whatever is in your packet in writing is what it is. These homes don't have brick, but they're offering, some may have brick, but not all of them have brick. For the longest time, we have always required brick, dimensional roofing, a certain amount of landscaping to keep the value of all the homes up.
Can you explain the surrounding properties around that parcels as to what they're, R1, what?
There is R2, but the problem, this is flat farmland that has been farmed for generations. Our water runs north. We know that because Willow Creek floods just about every time there is a storm. I'm not saying when it just rains, but when there is a storm that comes through. Willow Creek is floods. Cardinal Crossing, Gore has installed lift stations to try to help to alleviate this. It hasn't worked. We still flood at times. This parcel will be just south of Brookview. What happens when the water starts draining north for them? What are we going to do? It's not that they don't have the right elevation setting the foundation. It's because the density and the coverage that we will have in that development far exceeds anything else that we have in Portage. R4 was originally put in for the Garyton area because back in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, that's how they divided lots. So we did not want to create a problem if somebody's house burned down where they would have to come in and ask for a variance to rebuild their house if their lot was 50. This was never designed as a standard rating. Thank you for letting me speak.
You're welcome.
Can I add something to that? Off of the map that we were given, approximately the units of single family, which would be R1, 70 feet, were 64 units. The single family R4, anywhere from 50 feet to 60 feet width, 169. R1 was 64. R4 was 169.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, I think in fairness, we should let the petitioner speak if we're going to let the public speak, since there was a public hearing last month and they had the opportunity to speak. If they want to speak, I don't know if they want to, but I think in fairness, we need to offer for them to be able to speak.
I agree, President Collins.
You have to come to the table.
My name is Joseph C. Svetnoff, and with the law firm of Kafka Pincus Dolan. We're located in Crown Point, Indiana, and we are representing RCJJ Development LLC, the petitioner in this matter. Tonight, we are here for a second reading on the annexation ordinance by the City Council concerning the voluntary annexation of almost 58 acres located at the 600 block of 700 North Porter County, Indiana, into the city of Portage. We have requested and are of the opinion that R4 zoning classification is proper and we far exceed the R4 standards. We attempted to bring this project in as an RUPUD zoning, but a determination was made through legal that we could not fit this project in as an R2 PUD zone with your current zoning ordinance. As you are aware, this is a two-stage annexation takedown because of the contiguousness of the parcels. The annexation, along with the previous voluntary annexation of 4.24 acres, will give this site a total development acreage of 59 acres. As you can see from the proposed site plan that we have already presented to the City Council on numerous occasions, roughly 240 units maximum of the site will be single-family homes and cottage homes. Please refer to the site plan that we've provided earlier. With this development, which will be managed by a homeowners association, we have single-family homes, cottage homes, water featured, and a farm-themed playground for the children to enjoy with sidewalk connectivity to public sidewalks, which was expressed by the city. What I have for you tonight here, and I'll pass it around to the city council members, is a revised plan of the park we're intending to put in at Bauer Farm. It's a themed development it's a themed development, which is, of course, a farm-related theme. The cost of the park alone is $210,000 that we're putting in. This is a nice development. It is a very well-thought-out development, and we've incorporated a lot of things into it which the city wanted to see. This development, fully built out, will generate approximately $312,000 in yearly property tax collections for the city. We have also analyzed your service capacity for fire, police, garbage, sewer, and water, and have determined that capacity exists for all services listed above. I'd like to call up Steve Kill, who's the developer representative, just to see if he'd like to add anything else to this as well.
I know that the issue of drainage keeps coming up. I've heard it quite a few times now. And just so everybody knows, the site is split. There is a divide in the drainage. The south half of the site flows to the south, flows actually to the southwest corner through all the detention ponds. And, you know, we've gone through great lengths to take and put detention and green space in the backyards of every single one of, almost every one of the lots that we can. So nobody's backing up to each other. I know I hear about the side yards a lot. The 5-foot side yards are only there to accommodate 3-car garages. Now, not every single house has a 3-car garage. One will, one won't, one will. It's just there to make some accommodation. And as Joe said, we far exceed the R4 zoning requirement. You know, we put all the 70-foot lots, which are gonna be up front by the park. We've revised our park. We've actually doubled the size of it because we think it's gonna be such a great project. There's no question that there's a market for this. This is not the only development, obviously, that we do. So we do know there's a market for this. I understand that Ms. Little is a realtor. I understand that completely. We have a lot of realtors that work for us too. I actually am a real estate broker too, on top of other things. So I can tell you that we kind of know the market. We know that across the street is R2. We know the other new subdivisions are R2. We have a bunch of R2 lots that are abutting the actual R2 zoning that is currently in the city of Portage. So we did that as a transition and took the R4, which is still 50 and 60s, and put that towards the bottom of the subdivision, which would be the south side. So we have R2 size against R2 for the, for the adjacent properties, the neighbors. We would actually love to acquire more property in the city around there. We're actually looking at it. I know that it was mentioned at one of the council meetings, if we would be willing to buy more property, we would love to. We're always, as a general rule, open to buying more property. So we do have a nice farm theme. Like I said, we've added, the homeowner association will be taking care of the park. That is, it's going to be dedicated to the city, but when the covenants and restrictions are presented to the city, it will be very clear that the HOA is going to maintain the park and take over the maintenance responsibilities. Because we do know that the park, I've sat through enough meetings, and I know that the park department does have some challenges with regards to funding and things like that. So, we're kind of sensitive to that, and we want to make sure that the kids have a park, but yet we don't put any pressure on the city. So
talk about the side yards and driving and back on the side
yeah,
yards, because that keeps coming up a lot too.
Well, everybody says, well, drive in the back for the side yard. Well, for the homes, a lot of the homes, they're not going to have to drive in the back for anything. There's no sheds allowed. The covenants and restrictions are pretty tight. You don't have any sheds. You don't have any reason that you need to drive in the rear yards. But if you did, there's plenty of access through the common area that are between the homes. I mean, you might have to go down a few lots to get there, but I can't think of a reason why you need to do it. But there are covenants and restrictions that prohibit the need for those homes to require access to the rear yards, if you will. All of the R2 size lots, I mean, they'll have plenty of side yard to get through if they need to get to the rear yard for any reason. We've never experienced a problem with that. So, you know, and we built quite a few lots. So we just simply don't experience a problem with it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm looking at approximately 260 homes, and not every home will have a family in it, but majority of them will have children. What about a swimming pool? And in the pictures that you just passed through, I just counted 5 swings. How are all of these kids going to play off of 5 swings? Is there a swimming pool? I've seen numerous apartment complexes in our area that are much, much smaller than this, and they provide something for entertainment for their kids. There's nothing there.
Well, I think that,
Speaking on behalf of being a parent.
I mean, a park in a neighborhood, my kids, when my kids were younger, we had a development this size and we had a park like this. We didn't have as many swings and we didn't have as big of a play set, and all the kids enjoyed it. The park is absolutely sufficiently sized for this subdivision. There's no question. It's not a regional park like you would see in a giant park in the center of the community. This is, you know, I'm not gonna say it's a tot lot park because it's actually grown a little bit larger than a tot lot, but it's in essence there for the subdivision, and for that, it's sized sufficiently, not only for the Bauer farm, but for the kids from the surrounding area to actually enjoy the park too. The bike trail, I know that we are sensitive, that's why we had put the park where it's at, because I know that the city would like to tie eventually a bike trail into it. So we kind of listened to all those things and tried to make sure that we accommodated everything that was requested, I guess.
Traditionally, do you put swimming pools in your developments?
Nobody puts swimming pools in their development. Swimming pools are
That's
extremely
highly
expensive. The liability
Is through the
for the
roof.
city is through the roof. That's why you see a lot of places, you know, with the exception of Munster maybe, that does not have a public pool. They don't have public pools anymore. Everybody's going to the splash pads, which is your park superintendent will tell you, and I have experience with that too. Those can be somewhat of a maintenance challenge, but that seems to be what everybody's moving to. They're getting away, everybody has moved away from swimming pools, just from a liability standpoint.
President, we have a motion on the floor.
We do?
We have to call the question.
Do we have a second?
I believe Scott seconded.
Who made the motion and what was the motion?
The motion was to adopt, Scott seconded.
Oh, okay.
We will be doing a roll call vote, Pat. So we have a motion and a second. Nina, would you please call the roll?
Hang on, Debbie has another question.
I have another question for them. Did I hear you say you weren't gonna allow sheds? In
There's,
this,
on the south side of the development, we typically restrict sheds because nobody has to mow their own lawn or take care of their yards or plow snow. The HOA does that.
okay, but that doesn't mean they don't have extra
So-
stuff.
Well,
But they'd wanna put in a shed that they wouldn't wanna put in their garage.
Well, again, they can ask permission of the HOA, but when people buy there, they're instructed at the time of the sale. They're given the covenants and restrictions, and they're advised that, you know, there's really no construction allowed in the backyard. We're prohibiting sheds, things like that. So if you have
So
a
it's
lot of
just,
tractors and lawn equipment and stuff,
so it's just because of the HOA, not because of the lot size?
a lot of.
That you would
our
not allow the
subdivisions-
sheds?
A lot of our subdivisions restrict sheds in the rear yard. The basic reason is that what you see is then you see plastic sheds. you'll see tin sheds, you'll see.
I get the
Some
standard,
nice, I
but to
mean-
not allow it at all is what I'm concerned about.
But there's also a waiver process within the covenants where if someone wanted to go ahead and ask or request.
Well, they can submit it to the architectural review committee,
Yeah.
of course.
Right.
Absolutely.
Which is why they can't do certain things on their house. They can't have a certain color or certain, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but there is a process.
It
where
can
you
get extremely hairy.
Yeah, you can ask, absolutely. There is a
Right.
process for that, sure.
So I am curious, on the south portion of the property where the smaller lots would be, how do those differ from M1, which is across the street in Cardinal Crossing, where the paired patios are? Are those similar lot sizes?
We are not paired patios.
Correct, I understand
Yeah,
that.
right,
But what
so-
I'm saying is, are the lot sizes similar to what would be in M1, which is across the street in Cardinal Crossing?
That is correct, yes.
So this would be as if there were paired patios on two of these lots? Am I understanding that correctly?
You are.
Like if I took two of those lots, it would be the size of one side of the paired patio across the street?
Yeah, I guess that's a fair assumption to make.
I have something to say, President Council, Collins.
Go ahead, Pat.
I ask the council to reconsider this. I don't think our taxpayers, should ride the burden of supporting this subdivision and plowing and picking up the streets, maintaining all these streets. We're not gonna get the tax revenue back on these residential smaller homes. The tax revenue is just not there. And I'm just asking you guys to reconsider, and make a motion to deny. That's all I have.
I think, Dan, we have to do the motion to adopt first, correct? And then if that fails, we can entertain other motions.
You have a motion on the floor, you have a motion and a second on the floor. You can't have another motion except for a motion to table. You have to accept and provide this motion to.
Can I add another statement in there? We just heard our police department and our fire department talking how short-staffed they are, as well as lacking of vehicles. And that's going to put more of a burden on them.
And if I may add just one more thing, after reviewing this information that Councilwoman Geis-Hurst has received from various city department heads, I'm simply just not convinced that the revenue will be worth the expenditures, and I echo Councilman Clem's statement.
Nina, would you please call the roll?
Councilperson Alvarez.
No.
Councilperson Pogorski.
No.
Councilperson Geis-Hurst.
No.
Councilperson Clem.
No.
Councilperson Williams.
Yes.
Councilperson Gully.
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes.
What was the vote?
4-3, 4 no.
Now, it was 3-3, because when someone votes for remote, they cannot break a tie, they cannot be decided to vote. For the record will show that it's 3-3.
So why is my vote counted?
Well, something called the Indiana statute on remote meetings. It says in the law that when you are a remote participant in a meeting, you cannot be the tie-breaking vote, meaning a vote cannot win by one vote with you. That's the disadvantage to being remote.
Then why am I voting?
Because you might not be the tiebreaker. You might be in the consensus majority.
So Dan, what,
I have to disagree with that, Dan. I really
I
do.
really don't care. I really don't care what you disagree with. It's the law. So I'm giving the council the right to instruct you.
All right, will you email me that law, please?
I certainly will. 36-4, 1.53. I will be there. But the vote's 3-3. Not that it matters much, because frankly, this vote has to be taken within 60 days of the public hearing. We're about out of time
There's no,
Someone can make a motion to deny, and one of the three votes yes, and it would pass 5-3, or 5-2.
The planning commission recommended an R1. We approved the annexation, but at R1. You could approve that.
Well, you didn't approve the annexation. That planning commission doesn't have that authority. What we did do, under the statutes, you recommended a zoning class. You didn't do any things. There's a default, but the council, there's advisory in that capacity. So, yes, your recommendation was for a different zoning classification.
Dan, can you remind us, what is the default if we annex without a zoning classification? Is it R2? I think it's R2, right? It's R1 is the default?
Mayor, if I might, what about the first, since the two annexations are tied together by ordinance, fiscal plan, everything we've prepared, and the first annexation is passed, I guess I'm a little, I guess my question is, what do we do about that?
Dan, did you hear the question?
Well, I heard it. I don't have a great answer for that.
Yeah, I guess I've never seen a situation where you got a two-part annexation, the first part passes, the second part doesn't. I guess why I was deferring to Dan on that one, I simply have never seen that. And
I mean, I would assume that the first portion is now annexed into the city at R4, the second portion is not. I mean, and if this comes back up, it comes back up, and we could annex the second portion at a different time. I mean, I would assume that's where we are on this.
They would have to start the process all over because you're running out of time.
Right, but on the second portion, not the first portion. Correct, Dan? We've annexed the first, what was it, 4 acres?
It's like 4 acres,
Yeah.
right?
So that's been annexed, that's happened, that's done, right? So now this is the second part. How does that work when it's a two-part annexation and we don't approve the second annexation?
Well, there's somewhat a zero chance that I'm going to answer that question publicly.
I figure. You don't want to be wrong.
Well, I know the answer, and I know I'm right. I'm just not going to give you that advice.
How much longer do we have on this? When is the 60-day clock up? That was a month ago. It was July 12th. And I think that was right at 30 days, so we probably have until August 12th.
I would,
Somewhere around that day. I mean, it's only August 2nd. I mean, we could table this and figure out what we're doing.
August 11th.
And then if we need to call a special meeting, we can call a special meeting. If we're still within that 60 days, to at least get this done and over with for tonight, and then we'll come back to it.
I mean, I guess a motion to table is in order. I mean, we would certainly appreciate that, obviously, accept that.
Well, I'll make a motion to table then.
We have motion and a second to table. Nina, call a roll.
Person Alvarez?
No.
Councilperson Pogorski?
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst? Councilperson Clem?
No.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Gully?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes.
The item has been tabled till we have a date to
And
be
with
announced.
tabling this, we are able to make the decisions. I want to make sure I voted the correct way on this.
We
With
just
tabling.
tabled it, so it can come back up at a future meeting. But that future meeting, in order for us to take action on this under the statute, has to be within 60 days of us receiving the petition, which I believe we're really close to. We're within probably 2 or 3 days of that petition. So Dan is going to have to give us an opinion on what our next steps are here. And if we're within that 60 days, there may need to be a special council meeting to take action on this one way or another, since it's a 2-part annexation, and we've already completed part 1, but not part 2.
And keeping in mind that a remote vote cannot be a tiebreaker. Thank you, gentlemen.
No, the public hearing on this was a month ago.
But that was just on the first.
That was on the second annexation. The first annexation was in March and April.
But it's pretty obvious we are going to have another meeting, so you're welcome to come to that. So we have new business. We have the 2022 salary ordinance.
Yes, Debbie, could do you have the paper copy? I'll read it real quick.
Yeah, but I don't have the new one.
Thank you, Nina. Salary ordinance, budget year 2022, ordinance 21-23, amendment number 4, an ordinance establishing the amount and salaries compensation to be paid to all appointed employees and officers of the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, for the year 2022, be it and hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana, as follows. And I'm just going to read the amendments. So in the clerk treasurer's office, these are all effective May 29th, 2022. Chief deputy, chief utility clerk, $62,000. Deputy clerk treasurer payroll and benefits, $49,000. Deputy clerk treasurer payroll and benefits, $49,000, 100% reimbursed by utilities. Deputy clerk treasurer accounts payable, $48,000. Deputy clerk treasurer accounts receivable, $48,000. Deputy clerk treasurer billing, $47,000, reimbursed by utilities, $47,000. Deputy clerk treasurer billing, $47,000, reimbursed by utility, $47,000. Deputy clerk treasurer counter receptionist, $44,000, reimbursed by utility, $44,000. Was building commissioner, that was already done, right, Nina? We're good there, okay. Park department, effective July 5th, 2022, superintendent, $76,000. Stormwater, effective July 10th, 2022, field division administrative assistant, $41,000. Police department, lateral patrol officer, 3 years experience in law enforcement, $59,794.90. And first-class patrolman, $52,480.33. And I think that is all of them. Let the record reflect this has been read in full. Motion to suspend.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Nina, I guess I can explain this. So there's the change at the police department to match the contract with lateral officer, which is a transfer in, and it eliminates the lower pay for a probationary officer without experience. All new officers will start at the same base pay. And then there were changes in the clerk treasurer's office. Nina, I don't know if you wanted to explain those quickly.
Yeah, it's just a restructuring of the office. It's been a long time in the work, and it actually saves over $18,000 out of my budget.
And then, Mayor, did you want to talk about the other ones, or? Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, Nina, please call the roll.
Councilperson Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilperson Pogorski?
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem?
Yes.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Gully?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes. Motion to adopt.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, Nina, please call the roll.
Councilperson Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilperson Pogorski?
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem? Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Gully?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
We have the introduction and adoption of ordinances, second reading, ordinance 22-11.
Debbie, could you take that for us? You don't have it printed in front of you?
I do not.
There you go.
Ordinance of the City of Portage amending Chapter 90, Article 5 of the City of Portage Municipal Code entitled Zoning Map. Be it, and it hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana as follows. Section 1, this ordinance shall amend Chapter 90, Article 5 of the City of Portage Municipal Code and accompanying zoning map in the following manner. The zoning shall be changed from R2 Low Density Residential to C2 Medium to Large Scale Commercial on the property identified 16.78 plus or minus acres east of 5822 US Highway 6, and the attached legal description in attached Exhibit A and the Porter County GIS Exhibit B. Let this reflect it's been read in its entirety. Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, Nina, call the roll, please.
Councilperson Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilperson Pogorski?
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem?
Yes.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Gully?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
We have first reading of ordinance 22-12.
Debbie?
I have it.
I'll read that real quick.
You want to read that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Save you a breath. Ordinance number 22-12, an ordinance of the City of Portage, Indiana, amending Section 54-11 of the Municipal Code entitled Excessive Police Calls. This was read in full. Is this first reading?
First
reading,
reading.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas the Common Council of the City of Portage has determined that it has a substantial and compelling interest in protecting health, safety, property, and welfare of its citizens and the areas of the city affected by chronic, unlawful, or nuisance activities, whereas chronic, unlawful, or nuisance activity of various kinds within the city adversely affects the health, safety, and welfare of Portage citizens and the quality of life within the city and creates a public nuisance and is therefore subject to abatement. Whereas the City Council has determined that the existing city ordinances and codes do not adequately control said chronic, unlawful, or nuisance activities or its detrimental effects of the city, of the citizens and areas within the city. Whereas police department and code enforcement time and resources are disproportionately allocated to the chronic, unlawful, and or nuisance activities, whereas this ordinance shall not be considered an, quote, exclusive election of remedy, and shall not limit any other civil and or criminal enforcement action against the property owner or occupant. Be it, and it hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana as follows. Ordinance Amendment. Chapter 54, Article 1, Section 54-11 shall be amended by replacing the existing text in its entirety with the following new text. Section 54-11, excessive police calls, disorderly property, and public nuisance. Section 1, definitions. I'm not going to read all the definitions. They're just defining words. Section 3, notice to abate. When a property has reached 7 or more police calls for service, calls not excluded herein, the police department may notify the owner that the property is in jeopardy of becoming a disorderly property and public nuisance. The notice shall reference the said calls for service and request the owner or its designee to meet with the Portage Police Chief or the Chief's designee to discuss the matter. At said meeting, the owner or designee shall outline the ways it intends to mitigate the prohibited conduct. Issuance of the notice to abate shall not be a condition or a requirement to establishing a disorderly property and a public nuisance. Section 4, notice of violation. Upon the occurrence of the excessive police calls for service as defined in above Section 2, the city shall give notice to the owner that the property is a disorderly property, which constitutes a public nuisance. Section 5, penalty and fine. Each call in excess of 10 that are not specifically excluded herein within a calendar month shall constitute a violation. A, each call in excess of 10 up to 20 calls shall constitute a separate violation, the penalty of which shall be fine for each violation is $250 per violation. Each call in excess of 20 calls shall constitute a separate violation. The penalty, which shall be fine for each violation, is $550 per violation. It says $550, but it wrote out 500, so it's supposed to be 500.
It's supposed to be 500.
Is $500 per violation. The city's code enforcement department and police department shall be responsible for the administration of this division. The city attorney or city attorney's designee may file an action in a court of general jurisdiction against the owner to enjoin the nuisance and to recover the fine. In addition, should the city be successful in any judicial enforcement action, the city shall be entitled to reimbursement of its cost and attorney's fees from the owner. Section 6, manner of serving notice. The city shall provide notice to the owner in the manner provided under IC 36-7-8-25. The city hereby deems the owner responsible for any and all prohibited conduct. Section 7, cooperation with the owner. It is not the intent of this ordinance to discourage anyone from requesting police assistance, especially in reporting known or suspected criminal activity. Notwithstanding, it is intended to create an atmosphere where the owner takes steps to avoid the property from becoming a public nuisance. Section 8, reduction of fine. Upon request by an owner of a disorderly property, the Board of Works shall have the authority at its sole discretion to eliminate or reduce the fine upon 1, a showing of good faith effort to mitigate the conditions which caused the property to be identified as a disorderly property and public nuisance. And I do want to go back, and I guess the definitions are important, because I thought it was a different section. All right. Definitions. A, disorderly property shall mean a building, dwelling, establishment, premises, or place of business where conduct occurs that results in excessive police calls as described below. B, owner shall mean the owner of the property and/or its agents with said ownership as identified by the records of the Porter County Auditor. C, prohibited activity shall be defined as any activity occurring at the property that results in excessive police calls, which shall include police calls for service as defined below in paragraph D. Paragraph D, police calls for service shall be defined as police calls for services other than ambulance calls, other than those resulting from drug, alcohol use, or criminal activity, routine traffic stops, and/or motor vehicle accidents. Let the record reflect this has been read in full.
Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, it's just a first reading, so this will come back up next month.
Right. Item 2, ordinance 22-13.
Scott, do you have that in front of you by any chance?
Sorry, keep forgetting. Ordinance number 22-13. An ordinance of the City of Portage, Indiana, amending Section 54-4 of the Municipal Code entitled Removal of Vegetation. Be it, and it hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana, as follows. Section 1, Ordinance Amendment. Chapter 54, Article 1, Section 54-4 shall be amended by replacing the existing text in its entirety with the following new text. A, all owners of real property, which also includes vacant land within the city, are required to cut and/or remove any and all grass, weeds, and other rank vegetation growing thereon when growth exceeds 6 inches from the ground. Rank vegetation shall mean any plant exceeding 6 inches in height. Trees, shrubberies, flowers, ornamental grasses, and agricultural crops exceeding 9 inches are not to be considered rank vegetation. B, the city's code enforcement department and clerk treasurer's office shall be responsible for the administration of this division. C, a 5-day written notice to cut and/or remove all grass, weeds, and other rank vegetation exceeding 6 inches from the ground shall be issued by the code enforcement department or a designated representative. Such notice shall be served personally by the Code Enforcement Department or any police officer of the city upon such property owner, if a resident, or by certified mail addressed to the property owner's last known address and posting the notice in a prominent place on the property. Notice must be given to the owner of record of real property with a single owner, or at least one of the owners of the real property with multiple owners, at the last address of the owner as indicated in the records of the county auditor on the date of the notice. D, if an initial notice of a violation of this section was provided as required by subsection C above, a continuous abatement notice may be posted at the property at the time of abatement, which will serve as notice to the property owner that each subsequent violation during the same year for which the initial notice of the violation was provided may be abated by the city or its contractors. E, if a property owner fails to remove such grass, weeds, and other rank vegetation described in this section within the time prescribed in subsection C, the Code Enforcement Department may provide for the removal of such weeds and rank vegetation, and the clerk treasurer shall make a certified bill of the costs incurred by the city in such removal, including administrative and removal costs. Such bill shall be served personally by the Code Enforcement Department or any police officer of the city upon such property owner, if a resident, or by certified mail addressed to the property owner's last known address, and posting the bill in a prominent place on the property. Such property owner shall have 10 days from the date of the receipt of the bill within which to pay such amount to the clerk treasurer. F, if a property owner fails to pay or appeal such sum specified in subsection E, within the time prescribed, a certified copy of the bill of costs shall be filed in the office of the Porter County Auditor, and the auditor's office shall place the amount so claimed on the tax duplicate for the property affected by such work, and the total amount, including any accrued interest, shall be collected as delinquent taxes are collected, and shall be dispersed to the general fund of the city. G, a property owner may appeal a notice of violation or a bill issued under this section by filing a written notice of appeal with the clerk treasurer's office within 5 days of the receipt of the notice of violation or bill. The appeal shall be heard by the Board of Public Works and Safety within 30 days after the notice of appeal is received. The penalty for the first violation in a calendar year shall be $100. The penalty for the second violation in the same calendar year shall be $150. The penalty for the third and any further violation in the same calendar year shall be $250. Let the record reflect that this ordinance number 2213 has been read in its entirety and for first reading.
Thank you, Scott. So at this time, we will have petitions, remonstrances.
Mayor, we actually have something under new business.
Okay.
And that's the ordinance that I sent over to the council after the ordinance committee. This was a slight change requested by the fire department. I'll quickly read this one. Ordinance 22-14, ordinance of the city of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, amending chapter 46, article 2, division 2, section 46-45A, the municipal code entitled Qualifications and Requirements for Membership in the Department. Be it and it hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana as follows. Section 1, Ordinance Amendment, Chapter 45, Article 2, Division 2, Section 46-45A shall be amended by replacing the existing text in its entirety with the following new text. A, to be appointed to the fire department, an applicant must be a citizen of the United States, a high school graduate or equivalent, and Indiana 1977 perf eligible at the time of hire. Let the record reflect this has been read in full. Motion to suspend.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend. Nina, please call the roll.
Councilperson Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilperson Pogorski?
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem? Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Gully?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes. Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any discussion?
Just a quick explanation. I don't know if Chief Wilkening wants to speak to this, but this is a simple language change, so I'll let them talk to it.
Right. What we're looking for is you have to be in the 77 Act to get on a full-time fire department now in the state of Indiana. And their age requirements are 18 to 36. And what we're doing is just reflecting what the state is going to. We do have, we're not just going to hire any 18-year-old for questions that people may have. If you're 18 years old and you don't have any qualifications or anything, you're not going to make the points for our merit board anyway. So these are going to be people like they put a career center on at the MAC for high school students. They're going to come out with an EMT certification with firefighter 1-2 already, and these kids are already going to be a little bit more of a level of maturity. Also, probably kids that grew up in the firehouse with parents that have got all the certifications, and it's going to be people like that. So that's going to help us out. Also, we are working on a lateral transfer process also, and if somebody is 36 or above that is in another department, and they're already in the PERF and they're PERF eligible, the way our rule is written right now, that we cannot accept them because of that. So as long as they can get into the PERF, then they would be eligible for us as long as they meet all of our other requirements.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? You have a motion and a second. Nina, would you call the roll, please?
Councilperson Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilperson Figurski?
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem?
Yes.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Gully?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
Thank you.
So now we have petitions and remonstrances and public input at this time. If the public has anything that they would like to speak to the council about, you may come forward, sit at the table. Please give your name and your address and limit your comment to minutes, please.
Reverend Michael Cooper, 5455 Clem Road here in Portage. Mayor Lynch and the Common Council, I have raised the issue many times of the lead casting plant that is being planned for the business park next to Countryside Park. At the last meeting, the Portage Board of Zoning Appeals, the board approved a questionable use appeal, clearing the way for the processing of lead, the introduction of a source site for potential lead contamination just feet from homes, wells, right next to the Prairie Duneland Trail and our wonderful Countryside Park and the sledding hill. A board of people appointed by the mayor and this common council unanimously approved putting a lead casting plant in the middle of a residential and recreational area. At the meeting, myself and 8 residents from Debbie Lane and the neighborhoods to the north of Countryside Park spoke against the questionable use. No one spoke in favor of it, yet still, your appointed Board of Zoning Appeals voted unanimously to clear the way for this industrial development. Several months ago, Mayor Lynch, I asked you specifically what you were going to do to keep our residents safe. Since you didn't answer me the first time I asked a question, I am here to present to you tonight a stack of petitions from residents of Portage and those who frequent the park, which will soon be overshadowed by a lead casting plant. Will you now, Mayor Lynch, give the people of Portage an answer to what you are doing to keep our neighborhoods and our children safe, or will you continue to be silent? Mayor Lynch, I want to hear from you. The people who signed these petitions want to know why this administration is for putting a lead manufacturing plant next to Countryside Park and what the city is doing to keep the residents safe from lead contamination. To present these. No comments? Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wished to speak to the council?
Hello, I'm back. Austin Bonta, 2797 Woodward Street. I guess to start, thank you to the council people who voted no on the annexation today. That's appreciated by many people, including myself. I was surprised you guys were voting on that today, though. I came here as quick as I could when I realized the reason for my confusion is Last night was supposed to be the Plan Commission meeting, where the Plan Commission would vote on a recommendation to you for the zoning of this second annexation. Of course, the Plan Commission meeting yesterday couldn't happen. The attorney wasn't available. But according to the zoning code section, I want to make sure I quote it right, 90-4.14, effect on annexation or vacation of right-of-way, the Plan Commission shall recommend to the Common Council the appropriate zoning district for areas annexed by the city. If such a recommendation is not submitted at the time of the annexation, the area shall be classified as the R1 district. Reading that, I might be wrong, but my reading of that is without a recommendation from the Plan Commission, whether you guys choose to listen to it or not, without that recommendation, I don't believe you guys can zone it anything but R1. Now, maybe that's what you want to do. That might be a good idea. It was recommended by Denise personally, but without that Plan Commission recommendation, I think you guys might want to check with your legal about how to proceed. But in particular, if you guys are scheduling a special meeting to vote on this again within the next couple of days, definitely want to check in on if you need a special Plan Commission meeting to give you a recommendation first. Again, whether you go with it or not, but assuming the Plan Commission will once again officially recommend R1, I hope you do listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the council? Are there any other matters to come before this council at this time? I believe Attorney Whitten.
Yes. So I changed my mind, changed my opinion on this particular vote. I think this vote does not fall under prohibition for not wasting time. I believe that the 5-4 vote is binding, so the motion to table is ineffective. So I'm going to instruct and ask the clerk to show the 5-4 voting down of this petition. Now, the statute, a couple of things, Austin brought up a point, I disagree with him in some large part, that's something the state statute says. It's probably 6 1 1/2 dozen the other, frankly, but it doesn't, it's a default council, does not, frankly. The whole idea of that is we have to have some zoning. So if the council takes no zoning under its ordinance, it has to default some. That's the intent of the statute. What I'd also like to say is the statute says that the council may, within 60 days, adopt the ordinance. So what I want to tell you is, we voted it down. If you wanted to take it back on the game, you could. You don't have to. If you don't, your vote will stand.
Attorney Whitten, thank you for that clarification. I just have a question. Wasn't it defeated 4-3, not 5-4?
It was 4-3.
That's 4-3. Yeah, 4-3. Whatever it was. One vote difference. 4-3.
Yeah, thank you.
Dan, we will forgive you. We know you are sick and isolating. We will forgive you.
Are there any other matters to come before this council at this time? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Nina, please call the roll.
Councilperson Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilperson Podgorski?
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem? Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Gully?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for your time and your